Well, if you have an emergency, you want to know police will come as soon as they're called, right?
But what if the cop you need was too busy eating breakfast? Tonight, 4 News Reporter investigator Warren Wright obtaining an eye-popping memo about what Fort Myers police officers are doing and CSAs, community service aides, when they're supposed to be responding to your calls. And Warren, the captain who wrote this memo you got, sounds disgusted.
Well, he definitely sounded concerned. So, according to the memo, some officers are so attached to getting free breakfast at a local hotel, they appear to be putting bacon before the badge. This memo is listed as high importance. Subject, Hampton Inn. The man who wrote it, a police captain. He blasts what officers have been doing at this Hampton Inn just off Colonial Boulevard in Fort Myers. The memo suggests the officers eating breakfast here are so into it, they're not leaving the table when they're needed. He writes, some personnel are not leaving the location, meaning the Hampton Inn, when they are dispatched to calls. He also says when some of the officers are here, they're being untruthful with headquarters about where they are, claiming they're responding to calls they're not on. He writes, they have put themselves on calls so they can have breakfast. He makes it clear some officers are staying on the clock when they shouldn't. He writes, there are times when personnel are at this location and have not checked out. Then there's the issue of just how much breakfast officers are willing to take from the hotel staff. He says they were rather abusive of their generosity. The captain even writes that he came here to the hotel to talk to their management, writing, I asked them to stop serving breakfast to our personnel. He writes he actually told hotel staff to call him if any police personnel come by for breakfast, but makes it clear to police supervisors it's their responsibility to, quote, make sure this will cease. I don't expect the hotel staff to manage our personnel, he writes. That is your job. Warning them, don't let me get a call that our personnel gave hotel staff grief for being turned away. The captain wrote this memo 8 days ago, so I emailed him asking him if they complied since your memo went out last week. His response, quote, I believe the content was clear and the objective accomplished. Okay, well, in his original memo, the captain also made a point to remind officers and community service aides the Hampton Inn should continue to get proper police protection, even though the breakfast bandwagon is coming to a halt. Now, remember, this memo was also addressed to supervisors, and he wrote flat out, quote, it's apparent there was a lack of supervision.
And one of our colleagues, Katie Jones, now working on that part of the story, digging into what's happened before of instances where personnel, unfortunately, have claimed they were in one place on duty and they were in another.
And we're going to have much more on that story tonight on Fox 4 News at 10. But in the meantime, we want to know, what do you think of this captain's concern that some police personnel may be putting breakfast before the badge? 239-206 Fox 4 is the number to call, or you can email us news@fox4now.com.